What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. Superheroes are dazzling. They're great. They can walk on water, they can fly, punch through moons, and turn you into mist. But the thing that makes them relatable and enjoyable to watch in the first place is their sense of humanity. And humans tend to make stupid mistakes, so here to count down some dark days from our spandex supers, I'm Taylor McWatters, and here are the top 10 embarrassing superhero defeats you probably didn't know about. Let's do it. Number 10, clowned around. Okay, we're going back old school for this one right off the bat. Kathy Kane entered Detective Comics in issue 233. She was a circus trapeze artist who turned into Batman, the usual, you know? She was a pretty big deal in comics. She was around from 1956 to 1979. So she was around for 252 issues. She was a part of the Bat family. So what happened? How did she go out? Was it heroic? No, not at all. How did a well-trained Batwoman get taken out? Well, let's answer that question. Now, at this point, she was retired. She was still running a circus, but nonetheless, she was retired. She wasn't choking out bad guys anymore. The League of Assassins find her, and then it turns into this brawl, even with Batman showing up at one point. Now, Batman is useless. He gets knocked out, and then when he wakes up, everything's done. The action's done. Kathy Kane is on the ground, holding onto her batsuit, and that's the end of her. That's the last time we see her. That is issue 485. That's the end of Kathy Kane. Okay, there's no big fight, really. There's no closing statement. She didn't save Batman's life. She didn't save anyone at the circus to, it's just, we don't see it. Just a big L. Just a big old L. Readers were upset because all this time, and that's how you write Kathy Kane out, just to make Batman darker and to make his arc more cool and Gotham-like. Sure, okay. Number 9, Forgotten Foe. In Avengers issue 57, Vision joins the team. Now the issue is pretty deep because the team is trying to figure Vision out, where he came from, what his demeanor is, all that jazz. All he knows is that Ultron created him to attack the Avengers, which is pretty threatening from a guy who can walk through walls. So we start asking Hank Pym what he knows, but amnesia makes that a difficult task. Now he finally remembers what happened. He remembers that Ultron started to become a problem. So Hank turned himself into Goliath to defend himself, but in doing so, he went super big and he hit his head off the ceiling of the room he was in. Because, of course that happened. Hank's head versus stucco. He grew big and then he knocked himself out, and that's why he couldn't remember anything. Honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Pretty embarrassing, but it checks out. And before we continue on with this list, if you want to go ahead and give us a thumbs up, that would be super awesome. It's super helpful for our channel. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Now let's get right back to this list. Number 8, Paint It Yellow. All-star Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder. The duo goes toe-to-toe with Green Lantern, and the trick here, if you want to beat the crap out of a Green Lantern, is to paint everything yellow. If the Simpsons family got naked and fought Green Lantern, there's a good chance they might win. Green Lantern is surprised by this 12-year-old boy's decision. He honestly undermines him. But readers were just surprised that he stuck around in the yellow room anyways. I mean, he just kept punching and he was kind of losing. Batman was beating him up a lot. And Batman was distracting him, so at the same time, Boy Wonder steals the power ring from Green Lantern. If you're not gonna use it, you might as well lose it. See ya. He then gets beat up even more. Like, dude, did they paint the town yellow or just this room? Walk into the room, be like, hey guys, I'll see you in the lobby. Good luck. Number 7, Robin's Hurdle. So sure, Robin's pretty sweet, being able to sneak the ring off and all, but what if I told you that athletic equipment stopped Robin dead in his tracks once before? Teen Titans Volume 1, Issue 4, way back in the 60s. The team was curious when a young sprinter won a race to qualify for the Olympics, but he just kept running after, like he was cursed, which is pretty scary if you think about it. Imagine not being able to stop running, like Forrest Gump style. Ooh. Scary. Now at the same time, Green Arrow's sidekick Speedy needed their help as well because he was being attacked when he was practicing for some Olympic stuff as well. Some guy tried to sabotage his arrows. This organization called Diablo was behind it all. So there's a clear type of villain out here with a clear project. So the Teen Titans traveled to Tokyo just to make sure the Olympics went smoothly, and Diablo met them there. He took the team down so easily, and Robin gets caught because he can't break out of 5 loose hurdles. And that's it. That's the nail in the coffin. The entire team at that point is captured and put in the rings of the Olympics. And then, of course, our guest Titan is blindfolded and is about to shoot a bunch of arrows. What a mess. Now, eventually, Speedy figures it out and the team is saved. But like, Speedy had to save all of them. Number 6, Mugged with a Crossbow. Green Lantern, Green Arrow, issue 85. This is so insane. Now the issue is front and center and it's talking about narcotics. So already it's like a very aggressive issue. The first few pages, we see Oliver Queen walking at night, and he's in a bad mood. There's some girl problems, and some punks try and rob him. Now, it's not like he was tired. He didn't just come back from saving the day. He was actually in a pretty bad mood. Like I said, he had lady troubles. He was ready to fight. He was actually looking for a fight. He was glad they came along. Otherwise, he said he'd have to go home and punch the walls instead. Kyle style, you know? He was ready to go, and he was fighting these punks off that were trying to rob him, and then one of them pulled out a crossbow, because apparently it's Van Helsing, and then, you know, muggers have crossbows all of a sudden, and then Ollie gets shot through the shoulder. He didn't even, like, regard the guy. He's like, oh, arrows. I know my way around that. Like, it's still an arrow. You're still made of skin. Of course. Number 5, Tony and Dr. Doom. So before we talk about this one, we're gonna fill you in a little bit on Doreen Green. She made her comic book debut in Marvel Superheroes Volume 2, Issue 8, back in the early 90s. Now, she was born with these squirrel-like abilities. Her name is Squirrel Girl. She has a tail. Right, you get it. She learned that she could communicate with squirrels at a young age. She was 10. So in an early comic book, she took on Dr. Doom at one point. In Marvel Superheroes Issue 8, she bumps into Tony Stark, and she's showing off, right? She wants him to see what she can do. It's pretty impressive for a pitch. Squirrels start coming in out of nowhere. It's like a musical. It's nice. And then she commands them all to jump onto Tony, and even he's impressed. He's like, wow, this is crazy. And then in comes Dr. Doom to make things even more crazy. Doom interrupts Stark's electronics, and just like that, Tony is out of the fight, which was going to be my main point here. But in order to save Tony, Squirrel Girl had to send a horde of squirrels onto Doom's ship to get him out. That's how Tony Stark needs to be saved, a bunch of squirrels. Now, these squirrels weren't part of the Avengers. They were just able to be controlled by Doreen. So no idea how these squirrels with little hands took down Dr. Doom. They didn't even get a chance to fight. Dr. Doom saw all this and he was like, I'm out of here. The Avengers, I can fight. A bunch of squirrels? No, that's where I draw the line. And then Doreen later joined the Avengers in their 2017 run. What a time. Number 4, Wolverine gets even more ripped. In our last video, we broke down some Ultimate Wolverine facts and his super cool adamantium skeleton that isn't as strong as it is in our regular Marvel 616 universe. Now, it still sounds like a pretty good time. You have adamantium laced into your bones, like the Terminator almost. But one time, Magneto used that weakened adamantium against him. It's just as horrible as you're probably imagining. This all takes place during the Fatal Attractions event, and honestly, I got goosebumps reading this. The adamantium mixed with his bones wasn't that strong, so Magneto pulled the adamantium out, and it was like water coming out of his body. It was loose, it was liquidy, and it probably didn't feel good. Professor X thankfully wiped his mind after he healed, which is great, but what about us? I need my mind erased after I just saw that. Are you kidding? I'm just gonna live in my head rent-free. Number 3, The Flash vs. Turtle Man. The Flash is the fastest man alive, but in his debut comic, it was a bit of a rocky start for the Scarlet Speedster. In Showcase Issue 4, his powers are presented to him. He sees food in the air. It's a great time. It's super speedster. Now, when Barry comes across the slowest man on Earth, the Turtle Man, appropriately named, it's actually quite challenging. It takes him a few tries to get to him. Barry runs into a wall at first because there's a painting on it and he thought that was Turtle Man. So he runs into it Roadrunner style. He runs right through the wall. Bonk. Okay. Weird. And then the chase continues because Turtle Man gets in a rowboat and takes off in the water. But Barry doesn't have a boat, right? But no boat, no problem. Barry now realizes he can run on water. So now the fight should be over in at least 3 seconds. Barry still can't get a hold of this guy in a rowboat. He keeps running by him and he's just missing the boat. It's so infuriating. Now, eventually Barry whips a few donuts around him, but I mean, it's not like the rowboat was doing zigzags. He was going 3 miles an hour, just straight. Number 2, The Punch. This one comes from Justice League issue 5. Now, in this comic, Batman came in to take over the Justice League International, and Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, doesn't share the same enthusiasm as the rest of the team. He makes it pretty clear for more than one issue that he doesn't like this new leader. Although Batman is clearly a better fit, but whatever. So he got so upset that he challenged Batman to a fight without the use of his power ring. So Batman's like, all right, let's do this. And then Batman knocked him out with one punch. Blue Beetle got jazzed. He was like Joe Rogan at a UFC night. He was like, one punch, one punch. Oh my God, he was losing his mind. This is a great moment and a greater lesson. Don't take the ring off that makes you a superhero, or else you're just a regular guy fighting Batman. Literally. And finally, number 1, Bruiser vs. Wolverine. Runaways issue 12, we see Logan and Molly Hayes, aka Bruiser, have a rather quick fight. Now, at this time, Wolverine was a member of the New Avengers, and he's trying to get to the bottom of what happened to Dagger. So he, Cap, and Iron Man went to find help from the Runaways, seeing as the signs relating to Cloak being responsible. Now, Molly, right off the bat, okay, she's one of the strongest superheroes ever, but how she handled Wolverine was way too easy, especially now that he's an Avenger, like he's on the top of his game. So the big three walk into the cathedral. Cap calmly asks her to stop screaming, and Wolverine and him are not going to hurt her. The screaming continues, and Wolverine asks if she's heard of heightened senses, right? It probably didn't feel good. He gives her 3 seconds to stop drilling a hole into his brain. He counts 3, 2, and then the next page, he was outside face down in the snow. Just like that. 1 hit, bam, he was eliminated. And then when he comes back in, he's actually embarrassed. I mean, fair. He just whispers how he won't tell anybody about tonight if they don't. It's kind of funny. Then he brushes snow off, but like, you're an Avenger, Wolverine. Come on, you should have seen any of this coming. There you have it, guys. Some superheroes have an off day, okay? It's not just us. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on Top 10 Nerd. I've been your host, Taylor McWatters. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the way out, and we'll see you next time. Stay safe. Peace. Oh, I can't wait to get back in the studio and just not do any of this. Here we go. No offense, Yeti mic. I gotta mute this. This guy's talking to me on Slack over here. What, I work here or something? Jeez. In humans, well, we tend to make quite a bit of mistakes. Quite a bit of mistakes? I just made one. How ironic. Now, eventually, Barry whips a few donuts around him. Oh. Get back in there, little guy.